Hello, how is everybody doing today?
Hey, nice to see ya.
I see you too. Nice to see everybody here. So, over the past couple of weeks, I've received multiple requests from the public, from individuals, from corporations, from members of the PD who have stated that they wanted a voice, that they wanted to be heard, that they wanted their opinions to at least be listened to in a public setting, right? A lot of discussions are going on interdepartmentally, behind the scenes, where everyone's discussing things, but no one's just throwing this open to the public to see what your opinions of the last few weeks have been. And I think that's important. I think in an active functioning democracy, that is what happens. Now, I have some remarks before I throw this open to the floor. I'm gonna read these remarks, and if you have any questions for me, I am here. I'm willing to answer them, right? This is not one of these things where I am refusing to engage. So, if you're all ready, if everybody's here. Hello, everyone. In the past 2 weeks, I've been to the funerals of 2 different friends, and I and many others are worrying daily about friends who are still missing in action. There are some of us who will never stop paying the price for the action of 17 days ago. Emotionally, physically, the price is still being paid. The usurpation of the Sanguine Isles happened 17 days ago. The forces of San Andreas landed and waged war on the Sanguine Isle, a land that had had its sovereignty acknowledged in our own legislation on the 5th of May 2023. We, without any consultation with the people of San Andreas or Sanguine, revoked that, took away the rights and privileges of a nation, of a people, unilaterally on the 20th of August 2023, purely a prelude to an illegal war. The men and women on Sanguine were charged without due process in the following hours, but this is inherently illegal. Amendment 5 of the San Andreas Constitution of the Rights of Persons reads, "No person shall be held to answer for capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a justice, except in the cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia when in actual service in the time of war or public danger." So legal precedent stands from justices the late Antigone Weston, Katja Zamolodchikova, and Ray Montag, the writers of our Constitution, that some removal of due process may be constitutional if those individuals were in service to the San Andreas militia or military forces. I would see the removal of due process from any active member of our own military to then be constitutionally exempted. But that still leaves over 50 individuals this exception does not cover who were stripped of constitutional rights. Once we usurped the Sanguine Isle, we claimed sovereignty and our laws became the law of the Sanguine Isle. Our constitution became their constitution. These are the laws we should follow for a just society. So we are left not with a constitutional crisis, but ultimately an existential one. I am going to be precise and clear here. And I am saying this publicly. I understand the argument that the Senate authorized it, and via the legislation, that makes it legal. I disagree wholeheartedly with this legislation, and I'm stating publicly it is unjust and unconstitutional. It should be removed from our legislative body. Unconstitutional laws should not be upheld. There should be a check and a balance. The judiciary is that check and a balance. Everything should be beholden to checks and balances. Unchallenged, uncontrolled, unconstitutional power should be abhorred. The state, in the people of the state of San Andreas versus Johnny Devine, make the claim that the invasion of the sovereign Isles of Sanguine was done in part based on an extradition treaty. The statement of charges of that reads, which is currently on the docket, publicly accessible to anybody, on August 11, 2023, Johnny Devine would flee to the Isle of Sanguine after a warrant was placed for his arrest, following his attempted murder of redacted in Los Santos. The Isle refused to extradite this wanted individual, violating the previous treaty. This in part would lead to the armed conflict between the United States and the Isle of Sanguine. The extradition clause, however, actioned via Aegis, says nothing about the repercussions should such a request be denied. So where is the breach of the extradition treaty? If no breaches are discussed in the extradition treaty, where is the breach by denying this request for extradition? The island refused to extradite this wanted individual, violating the previous treaty. This in part would lead to the armed conflict between the US and the Isle of Sanguine. Going to war, invading, imperialistically claiming sovereign land is an insane overreach and overreaction to a denial of a request. I question wholly the statement that the treaty was violated. I can find no violation reading that treaty. This war was predicated upon a civilian oversight branch set up to determine what kind of screwdrivers the Caddy's Corner can sell and what kind of sex toys Swallow can stock. Requests denied from Aegis should get your shop shut down, not a sovereign nation bombed and invaded. This was an overreach. Negotiations with Sanguine failed after they were very publicly and transparently shown to be nothing but demands. This was not the state attempting to protect and serve. This was the state making demands of obey or survive. Bend the knee and swear fealty. We can thank LSBN and the press for their unwavering coverage of the fall of our society. All of it is a sham. All of it is there to legitimize the illegitimate. I'm now going to read a passage that was written by John Franklin Kennedy. For those to whom much is given, much is required. And when at some future date the High Court of History sits in judgment on each of us, recording whether in our brief span of service we fulfilled our responsibilities to the state, our success or failure in what office we may hold will be measured by the answers to 4 questions. First, were we truly citizens of courage, with the courage to stand up to one's enemies, and the courage to stand up when necessary to one's associates? The courage to resist public pressure as well as private greed. Secondly, were we truly citizens of judgment, with perceptive judgment of the future as well as the past, of our own mistakes as well as the mistakes of others, with enough wisdom to know that we did not know and enough candor to admit it? Third, were we truly citizens of integrity, men who never ran out on either the principles in which they believed or the people who believed in them, men who believed in us, citizens who neither financially gain nor political ambition could ever divert from the fulfillment of our sacred trust? Finally, were we truly citizens of dedication, with an honor mortgaged to no single individual or group, and compromised to no private obligation or aim, but devoted solely to serving the public good and national interest? These questions are inherent in the problems we are facing as a state, as a nation. San Andreas has never answered these questions in recent memory, and we need to answer them now in order to move forward and form a more perfect union. I call then not for revolution or rebellion or violence. I call for democracy, for patriotism, for the enforcement of our rights and responsibilities as citizens outlined in our own constitution. I call for elections. I call for a vote of no confidence in the Senate. I call for transparency and accountability across all governmental authorities. I call for our rights to be upheld and ratified, for unjust and tyrannical laws to be stricken from our legislation. I call for power to be placed, instead of in the hands of an oligarchy, into the hands of elected representatives of the people. I call for the rule of law to have a basis in morality and the will of our citizenry, not for the whims of a fallible individual placed above all scrutiny against the protections of our Constitution. I open the floor to the people gathered here today to speak, for the people to question, for the people to have their voices heard in a way they have not been heard in years, in the last 2 years since the Senate took over and usurped the authority of San Andreas, the way they usurped the authority of a sovereign nation in the Isle of Sanguine. The floor is yours, people. It's time for you to have your voice heard. My name is Nathaniel Greyson, and I stand before you as a citizen of San Andreas.
What is Blood talking about?
Didn't these guys kill like the commissioner in jail and live stream the whole thing?
If your comprehension skills are too low to understand, maybe you should just leave the room.
Hey, that was a lot. I support everyone's right to have their opinions. I think you should inform yourself before creating opinions, and I think that you should, at a very basic level, read all of the LSBN articles, which would clearly isolate reasons for the invasion that go well beyond that Aegis thing that was mentioned. Trying to compress the last 3 weeks to a month, or 2 months, or even 3 months, depending on how involved you've been, into a 5-minute speech is both foolish and unproductive, so I won't do so. Do your own research. Thanks.
Hello! Name's Party Hardy, CEO of Wu Chang Records, CEO of Party Hardy Entertainment Enterprises, executive partner of Jiggy Studios, and owner of the No Pixel Music Awards, and the first ever mayor of Los Santos. That was taken from me. It was announced that Party Hardy was the mayor, the first ever mayor, in fact, but then it was taken away and called a glitch in the system. Now, I like Andy Jones, and I'm glad she did all that work for me. But it seems like a lot in this government is just done willy-nilly, without a plan whatsoever most of the time. As if a lot of decisions in these government facilities are just done randomly. Me, I don't do things randomly. I have plans. I have done the most events out of any business in the city within the last year. Over 50, in fact, I have proof. Let me post it. There you go, events. I get work done. And it seems like a lot of people in this city complain when something is not being done, but don't do anything about it. I come from a time where if you want to do something, go out and do it. Sometimes you don't need government support. But if you do need it, then find a way to make it happen. You know, find some friends, come together, create groups, create political factions. If you look at the people who are nominated each time for, or who are running for mayor, it's always independent, or Cerberus. And people will complain, oh, Cerberus does all this, Cerberus does that. Okay, why don't you make your own Cerberus? But they don't, because a lot of people are simply lazy. I experience this a lot as CEO of the biggest and most thriving record label. When you're at the top, a lot of people try to bring you down. I'm gonna stay at the top, and if you want my position, you should try to get it. Just saying. Now, my opinions on this war, I think it was all a bit silly. Just saying. Seems like the PD has been unorganized for quite some time, and I only hope the best. My problems with the PD? Well, when people get shot at my business, by the way, I've been clean forever, never done a crime, never got a speeding ticket or anything like that. I call the PD, they don't show up. You know who does? The EMS. Shout out to the EMS. But the PD, most of the time, they don't show up, and I'm assuming they won't show up for hours. But that's okay. They're busy. They're busy. But remember, civilians like me, we're doing our thing, and we just hope that the PD will support us at the end of the day. After they're done with their own problems. What else was this about? I heard a whole lot of constitutional stuff. I hope that gets done. And in my opinion, Crane over there, he does a lot of great work. And the mayor, Andy Jones, does a lot of great work. Our last mayor done a lot of great work. They done more work than some of the previous mayors. And I actually believe our city will have a great future as long as people start working. Seems like nobody wants to work nowadays. So I can only hope that everybody comes together builds their businesses, and creates thriving events like I have. By the way, be at the casino opening party. P Money's gonna be there, Big Return, Bimbo's gonna be there, Saint Noel, all your favorite stars. Alright, that's all I got to say.
Hashtag ad.
Hashtag ad, that's right.
All right, everyone. Thanks everyone for coming here. And I'm gonna encourage once again. You guys have anything you want to say? Please come on up after this here. I just wanted to kind of add my 2 cents here. Just want to start off by saying I'm not gonna throw any shade toward the police department. I'm absolutely ignorant as to what they did, the decisions that they made. I don't have any accounts of what they did. And it looks to me like they are taking the steps to police their own and dish out some punishments. So, good on them. I don't know about what really started the war. All I have is really the coverage of what happened during it. But what I do have some firsthand experience on is the aftermath of it. And that's what really bugs me. I see, kind of to reiterate Greyson's side of things, the removal of due process. That's a pretty big issue for me. I don't think any citizen should ever have that removed from them, whether they are a citizen of Los Santos, whether they are someone from anywhere else. That is a huge issue, and I just refuse to stand for it anymore. The other thing I don't really care much for is unequal treatment. I think the prime examples of this are 2 people that suffered. One Jebediah Musk and the other one Carmine Costello. Now, I get it, right? Everyone fucking hates Carmine. He's an annoying little shit, okay? But what he did was not treason. But did he go in for it? Absolutely, he did. Was there any oversight as to anyone when he was sent in, when they made that decision? It sure seems like not. And he wasn't really released until people started asking questions about why the hell he was in there in the first place. This was just, to me, an example of decisions that were made because people felt they were close enough to the power of the Senate that they could get away with it. And that to me is the big issue here. I'm kind of sick and tired of hearing, because the Senate said so. I think the decisions being made in the aftermath of this war really show that not only are they not here for the people, they're only here for their own selfish reasons. The powers that they've been granted in that legislation are so extreme that people feel they need to fall in line, or else, they're going to be fired, or they're going to be executed, or whatever it is. I mean, I know that as well myself. I have some experience with that, and I've finally had enough of it, and that's why I'm stepping out and talking about it. I second Greyson's call for an abolishment of that particular law and a vote of no confidence. And I would encourage anyone else here who feels any amount of input on this matter, either for or against. It doesn't matter. This is an open forum. You're here to speak your mind. Okay? So whoever wants to say anything next, come on up. You're more than welcome. Okay? That's all I have right now. And thank you everyone for your time.
Sorry, I forgot something really important. Y'all should check out the Glenn Beck podcast. You can learn about why the government and inflation is going to ruin your life, and why you should buy a warehouse like I did and fill it with gold bullion. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Grace Daniels. I'm a defense attorney here in the city. I've been practicing for over a year now, and I stand up for people's rights. I always have.
Into the microphone.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. I don't usually get up and do public speaking outside of court. I'll go ahead and start over. My name is Grace Daniels. I'm a defense attorney. I've been doing this in the city for over a year. And the reason that I do what I do is not for the W's, but for people's rights. And I'm always going to stand up for that. And that's why I decided to come up here and speak today. I appreciate the remarks from Judge Greyson and Judge Schwinghammer, and wanted to talk a little bit more about the 2 individuals that we know so far that were falsely imprisoned for treason and have since been released. I wanted to thank the the defense attorneys and the other attorneys that worked on their behalf to get them released. And I just wanted to point out that had there been due process for the individuals on Sanguine Island, perhaps they could have been released sooner and had their voices heard. Thank you for this forum, everyone, because at the end of the day, it's important for everyone to have their voice heard, regardless of which side of a matter they fall on, or if they fall in the middle and have no opinion, that's all right too. But I do agree that people should be informed and they should look out for their rights. And I think that there are more stories to hear from the Sanguinians that we have not been able to hear because of the lack of due process. Whether or not them being heard will change their sentences, we don't know. But by being heard, we can find out what happened. We can learn about their experiences, their thoughts, and if injustice has been done, we can rectify that. So thank you guys very much for coming here. Please feel free to speak out. Even if you aren't sure where you stand yet, if you have questions, ask them. That's what it's all about. Thank you very much, and appreciate all of you attending.
No.
Hello, can you hear me? Is this thing on?
There it is. Yep, we hear you, Shelly.
Okay.
Good shit, Shelly.
Hello, everyone. I am Shelly Smith, business owner, accomplice to terrorism, former police officer, and victim of police corruption. You've probably seen me tweeting about this a lot for the past 9 months or so. I just gotta say that Brian Knight, Bass, you know, rest in peace, and Aegis are corrupt, and I was wronged. To this day, the Senate refuses to look into this case and deny me any kind of justice. Do I ask why? Why? It's a conspiracy and a cover-up. That's why. And I don't want to sit and beat a dead horse, but these people are not looking out for you. They're looking out for themselves. And I would just like everyone to realize that it could be you next. Innocent, good, well, okay, maybe not innocent. You know, I've made mistakes, and I've owned up to it. But people are suffering. People suffer because of these horrible laws that no one gets to argue. We live in a dictatorship. And that's all I have to say. Fuck the Senate. Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Lingberg, gotta rebut a couple of things real quick.
No, I have to rip out a couple of things real quick.
Oh, okay.
Just
all
real.
right.
Sorry about that. Greetings, everybody. I'm Leslie Lingberg, business genius. Jesus Christ, too, some people say. I don't say it myself, but others do. I just want to say that I think people should stop using Twitter, and if people don't stop using Twitter in the way that they do, I intend to buy Twitter, and I will stop it for you. Thank you.
Ooh, let me go on Twitter and twat about
You know what? I've had this conversation with so many people, but I guess we're in another public forum, so we're gonna have it again. Shelly Smith pled guilty to terrorism as a primary actor. Anyone from the DOJ knows that that means that you do not qualify for an expungement. No contest is the same thing, ma'am. So, when someone... Okay. So, when someone takes a charge for terrorism as a primary actor, in her case for the bombing of several police departments, that does not qualify you for an expungement. This case was looked into at the highest levels of this city's government that go well beyond myself. The resolutions have been laid out to Ms. Smith in every single way possible. At this point, there is no possible way forward based on the current legislation of the heinous acts put in by Devereaux regarding Ms. Smith holding public office as a mayor, attorney, whatever, PD officer. That is the law before she committed her acts, before she took her plea deal, and it is the law afterwards. Thank you.
Know the truth. You all need to look into the details of the
Shut up,
case.
Shelly.
Shut up, William.
I think we need to turn the Sanguine Isles into a place where we send everybody with stupid ass fucking names to. Thank you.
That's
That's
good.
my idea.
That's good.
That's my idea.
Yeah, we can do that.
Plus one.
I like that idea.
Hello. We heard a lot from a lot of people. Grayson talked a lot about this vote of no confidence for the Senate. I just want to make sure people understand what that is. This is a saying we don't believe in them, that they've got our best interests at heart. We don't believe that they are taking the actions that are needed for our state. A vote of no confidence for the Senate is a no-brainer at this point. Now, a vote of no confidence, how we go about that, fuck knows. We need to make it happen. But the Senate didn't get this way by itself. The Senate was paved and supported, guarded, and you've even seen some of it here today. While we're at this, doing a vote of no confidence for the Senate, we also need one for Chief Justice Alan Crane. Vote of no confidence because we no longer believe that they have the faith or ability to lead us as they need to.
Good luck replacing him.
I don't know about that one.
The laws,
Amen, brother, amen.
as an example for you, the laws that went into place last night that you'll all be aware of, none of this goes through any of the judges anymore. None of it. They don't work through what any of the wording should be. No, it gets dictated down to them by Alan Crane. While we're restoring democracy, we need to restore democracy at all levels. The Chief Justice position should be a voted-in position by all the judges.
Greetings, everybody. It's me, Leslie Lingberg, again, business genius guru. I just wanted to touch upon the statement made by Lang Buddha earlier about the name island, and I just wanted to clarify that that is my idea. In fact, it has been my idea for a couple of months now, even to the point where I tried to push it during Lang's stay in the office. However, it has not happened yet. We are hearing a lot of different ways to change things in this city. Re-elections, elections, all these things. I think what this city needs is somebody that is blunt and honest. 98% of everybody that walks this soil is not going to make a change in what they want to change. So let's focus on the things that we can change, yes? Abolish twatter. Name island. We start there, then we move on to the more important questions. Thank you.
I'm gonna be twice as horny on Twitter because of you.
Amen. I'm pretty sure it was Lang's idea, though.
Don't worry, I already marked you.
Same.
Okay, hi. My name is Alexandra Carlson. I currently hold title of judge within our Department of Justice. Before that, I've also worked within the Unified Police Department, and I've been practicing law on both sides, both as a prosecutor and as a defense attorney. When I moved here, I knew one thing, and that was that I wanted to help implement my legal knowledge in getting people charged correctly and in a correct way. Everyone has the right to go to trial to defend themselves and to have their voice heard. Justice is something that seems lacking to me in these couple of days, last couple of days and weeks. It is a very scary thought to have. I believe that we are experiencing a situation where there is no good. It seems like both sides on this conflict do bad shit and then do even worse shit to get back at the other. It's a vicious cycle with no good outcome. And what are we doing to stop this? How are we trying to bring peace and stability back to our state and our citizens? Over the last 2 years, we all have been guilty of something. We've been too focused on our own immediate problems, forgetting to check about some legislation that was added, letting it slip through the cracks. We have given two people absolute authority over us. We have given them the power to do whatever the fuck they want to us, whenever they want to. People are now sent up under the charge of treason, but in truth, each and every one of us can just be sent up for no reason at all. Absolute power has no place within our state. We are no longer a democracy, we're a tyranny. We should have the people in charge. I, as a judge, should have an obligation to the citizens of Los Santos, giving just rulings, explain my thought processes, protect the right of everyone to have that just process and potential to have their day in court. I believe it is time we take back the state for ourselves and help create the state that we want. We need to return San Andreas to the people. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, I am Judge Elizabeth Gates, aka the AU Judge. A lot of you may not actually know who I am because I work AU shift every single fucking morning. I've missed like 3 of them because I was sick. 2 years ago, when the absolute authority of the Senate hit, I said, ooh, that fucking sucks. I don't like that, and I moved on with my life. However, I am one of the people who has been personally affected by the lack of due process. My own son, a fucking idiot for participating, has been denied his due process and is now in jail for treason. I'm not saying they should be let go. I'm saying that they should have a right to have their fucking day in court. That is the God-given right, or whatever, God's given right. I believe in Nikita. I don't know about the rest of them. Whether or not you give a fuck because they did something stupid, it's easy to say, oh, well, they're the bad guys.
The commissioner on a live stream last week.
I cannot hear you from the stage, so you yelling is not doing anything. If you want to heckle, you gotta get closer. But if you start going, oh, they're the bad guys, they don't deserve due process, they're the bad guys, who defines the fucking bad guys? At what point do the bad guys transition into, well, somebody who just did a little something wrong? Somebody who pissed off the wrong person? At what point does it stop being the bad guys and it's anybody who said no? It's very easy to sit there and say, well, they fucked up and they don't deserve due process. But who's going to speak up for you when they say, well, he fucked up, she fucked up, they don't deserve due process? Every single fucking person, from the worst to the best, deserves to have their fucking day in court. Thank you.
Hello. Release them and give Osvaldo the death penalty. That is all.
Sorry, you talk about due process when they are literal terrorists and they're treasonous. I've been a clean civilian for 3 years, and my due process was denied to me by the DOJ when a warrant was signed by a cop who has held no accountability by the rest of the PD and the DOJ. My clerk position was taken by me by a fellow judge, and nobody is held accountable. And you are talking about the due process for terrorists and treasonous when you are clearly so biased because that's your son, and you are asking for the due process for people who have been planting bombs for the past 6 months and continue to do so when bombs were found on that island, and you are and now it still happens, and you're like, please, let's give them the due process so they can just do it again. Are you listening to yourself? I don't think so. You should listen to what has been found, and that it's not going to happen again. We are not going to be bombed again. And then all you do is you don't speak.
PBSO is actually exploded. It got bombed post-war. What the fuck?
Yeah, Brian and Bass didn't want to
fucking understand anyone.
Fuck the haters, Eve. Fuck the haters.
Speak your shit, Eve.
Speak your shit.
Maybe you should look at yourself. Look at yourself before you ask for the people who have been sent away. How am I included?
Let
How
her
am I
speak.
included?
Let her speak. If you want to speak, get up after her. Let her speak.
How am I included? Did I plant the bomb? I didn't. I didn't plant that bomb. I didn't put your family and friends in jail. You say Aegis is bad? I didn't do shit. Not everybody who talks shit about Aegis. Do you come and talk to me and ask what Aegis is? We regulate storefronts. We give civs jobs. And all you do is say Aegis is the bad guy when we create opportunities for people who don't have those opportunities. And all you decide is to lump them in with the bad people. So before you go and assume things about people, maybe go and talk to them and have a sit-down conversation, because that's all I do. I give people opportunity and I talk to those people before going behind their backs and saying shit about them.
Mr. Costello, is that you, sir?
Yes,
Do you want to come speak as somebody who's actively affected by all of this? Do you want to tell your side of the story?
Okay, fuck it, I guess.
Help of Carmine.
Platform, Jesus. Shit. Hello, is this thing on? Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Unfortunately.
Yes. I don't know what the hell's going on here. I was just driving past and I saw a gathering of people and I was curious. I guess this got something to do with Sanguine, right? And what happened? Well, if you want to hear, if you want to hear my opinion on what happened on that fateful day, the war, I was wronged. I was given a charge of treason, wrongfully arrested for 10 years. I got out on the 11th. I'm a free man now. Am I bitter, jaded? Yes. But I feel like what happened on Sanguine was just. Brian did the right thing. He's a war hero that has been exiled wrongfully, and if I could have it my way, every Sanguinian dog would have breathed its last breath on that island. I don't know why we brought him to our mainland and we're feeding them our good food. They should be dead and gone. And damn big corporations too. That's to Cerberus as well, okay? It all comes back to Cerberus. Cerberus funded Sanguine. And it's all a conspiracy. And I know who killed the commissioner.
Now tell them about the lizard people, Carmine, to seal the deal.
The lizard
people.
There are no lizard. That's not. There are no lizard people. And
the moonbeams. What about the moonbeams? Or the
I'm running for mayor. Yes.
What?
It's my announcement. I'm running for not mayor. Shit, Senate. I'm running for Senate.
Oh.
So I can make the hard choices. A man of the people, for the people. That's the Sanguine and Cerberus. Can I get a hooray when I say hip hip? Hip hip?
Hooray.
Hip hip? Your mothers. That's all.
Just some thoughts on what I've heard so far. I'm a little bit disappointed that I wasn't told that this was happening until it was already halfway through, so I'm going to address the things that I've heard since I got here. Number one, if anybody believes that this city could function half as well without Crane, you are a moron and don't realize how much he does. Number two, as far as the treasonists go, when you complain about them not having their day in court, not having due process, you need to keep in mind that they were warned multiple times over several days before they went out there. And if I tell you that you're going to burn your hand touching a stove and then you turn around and say, hey, why is my hand burned? Why did you do that to me? That's not right. Honestly, that's on you. As far as petitioning the Senate goes, we can start a petition and move towards trying to dissolve the Senate. I highly recommend anybody reach out to my office who has any ideas on how they want to go about that. And anything in the future. DOJ, I encourage you to keep the mayor's office in the loop when hosting these types of things in case there's anything we would like to say to the public as well. Thanks.
This wasn't hosted by the DOJ, Andy.
Who's it hosted by?
Citizens.
Citizens.
Right.
Hi.
Speak up. There you go.
Okay, right. Okay, let me clarify some things. The argument that you were warned and that is enough for the removal of due process is insane. These are constitutional rights of the citizens of Los Santos. They are defended and codified within our constitution. You cannot usurp the constitution because you throw up a state announcement. That's inane. No. That is not the way due process works. That is not the way any functional justice system should work. No. I am just saying no. As for this being hosted by the Department of Justice, it was not. There's a reason it was not held at Town Hall. There is a reason I am not currently working as a judge. This was hosted as a citizen of Los Santos because people had approached me and asked for a forum on which to speak. I provided a forum in which people can speak. If anybody else would like to speak, the floor is yours.
Hello. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Cassandra Jeter Silverton. I'm a business owner. I'm a county clerk. I have lived in the city for over 2 years. I have never received a speeding ticket. I've never been charged with the crime. Anytime anything happens to me at all, I make sure to inform the police as it is my duty as a citizen. I believe that the system can work, and I don't want to believe, I don't want to pretend to be the most informed person here, because I'm not. But I do to try to listen to everything that happens around to me. And what I've heard recently, has just been horrifying on multiple sides. What I do know for a fact is that we are all humans, or at least it's human-ish for those paranormal entities out there. Even if someone has done something bad, we all deserve our day in court to be able to fight against it. If they have done something bad, obviously they should be in jail, but they have the right to go to court and to try to prove that they didn't do something bad, or that the government has a time to present the evidence of why they should be there. Everyone deserves that right. We don't deserve to be locked away without question. We don't deserve to be sent to fight and kill and be killed on the whims of a few, for what me felt like practically overnight. I was gone for 2 days. I woke up and I heard that there had been a war. The only way that a government is born is because they have people that they are meant to serve, and the government shouldn't serve itself. It should serve the people. I do not approve of any of what happened in the Sanguine Isles. I'm a pacifist. I believe that we shouldn't be violent with one another. Period. But I understand not everybody has those beliefs. I don't support things that those that are in prison and related to the Sanguine Isles has done. I don't fully understand why the war happened, and I'm sorry. I don't want to try to act like I did do. I just would like everybody to be involved to remember that we are all human beings, and we should all be treated as such at the bare minimum. Thank you.
Once upon a time, there was a war in Sandy Shores.
Oh dear.
The people of Stab City, the Lost, they wanted to be independent. They didn't want to be citizens of Los Santos. They were given ample warning for a while, days,
What's part of that?
that they were not going to be considered citizens of Los Santos if they did what they did. And anyone who helped them would be given the same treatment. Once upon a time, there was an island called Sanguine, given these same warnings that if they chose Sanguine, they were no longer a citizen of Los Santos. They were given a choice, and they made their choice. I'm not saying I side with either one. I've been fucked over by both sides. But they made a choice. They chose to not be a citizen of Los Santos. Is the DOJ saying they want to hold trial for 50 people? Why would you do that to yourselves? Yes. You want to hold a trial with like 70 people in the room, all yelling the same thing. People who didn't want to be a citizen of Los Santos anymore. Should it have happened? Probably not. It could have been handled a different way. But people made choices. Actions have consequences on both sides. I'm not saying that either side was right. I'm not saying that either side was wrong. But choices were made and actions have consequences. There is nothing accomplished by standing here and yelling angrily. There's nothing accomplished by coming up here and going, so-and-so did this. Fuck them. There's nothing accomplished by coming up here and going, I'm mad at this specific group of people because this happened. People made choices. They didn't want to be part of Los Santos. They were given ample warning.
I think Kiki has a point, right? Point is autonomy. People make decisions for their own lives. There are, however, some factual issues with what she stated. The war in Sandy Shore, the Lost incident from 2 years ago, everybody there got due process. They all signed plea deals. They all pled guilty in a court of law. My court of law. These individuals, the people from the Isle of Sanguine, were sovereign citizens of a foreign nation. They may have held dual citizenship with San Andreas, but they were not actively beholden to our laws while on the Isle of Sanguine. That legislation specifically states they have their own laws, their own Chief Justice. They had their own due process. They were then taken when we usurped Sanguine Isle, placed under our legislation, and they were not given the option of plea deals, of negotiations, of any form of due process. This is what I'm arguing about. I would stand firmly, hand in hand with Miss Pendragon, and call for a cessation to violence, to pointing at individuals and saying, you're the problem. That does not help. We have systemic problems we must address as a society. That's why I'm here. Anything y'all want to say, I'm good. But yeah, I just want to clarify a couple of those remarks.
Hey, what's going on, guys? What's going on? What's going on? My name's Tony Corleone. It's nice to meet you guys. Some of you guys must know me, but some of you guys probably don't. It's fine. I'm here today to talk about the problem in the city. You know, it's a big problem, to be honest. You know, from time to time, I take walks down the road, and you know, I see a lot of police officers sitting at these lights, and they sit there for about 10 to 15 minutes watching the light go from green to red to green to red to green to red, then to yellow. And the problem is that I sit there on the bench, definitely not in a car speeding at 130 miles per hour, nope, on the bench, and you know, I'm a tax-paying citizen, and to know that my money is being spent by these officers who sit there at these stoplights, not protecting us from these racers, from these people who don't care, you know, and they speed through intersections, and you know, they hit bystanders who are walking across the road, and they just sit there and don't do anything. I'm a tax-paying citizen, and I demand to have the chief of police look into this. This is embarrassing for the city. It's embarrassing for the department that they're in, and to be honest, it makes me want to become an officer to protect this goddamn city, to be honest. And I you know, am a law-abiding citizen, and for me to say that is fucking insane. You know? Anybody else agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see this crowd is about 90% of the same as these cops who sit at the stoplights and don't do anything. But for the 10% of you, you know yourself. I'll see you guys at the next one.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Raymond Romanov. It's funny that we're having this council today, this public forum, to speak about corruptness within the city. Oh, it's the Senate. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's the DOJ. But who are we fucking kidding? The justice system in the city has always been corrupt. But it's not because of DOJ directly. It's always been a direct result of the police department. If any of you know, you might be aware. Look at Sam Bass, Brian Knight, and Cerberus's old relationships with Enrages. Me personally, I'm all for the Senate to continue to operate. Look how many officers that were seemingly innocent sent to their deaths. Look at the county jail, which is filled to the brim with individuals who do not have their due process. And it's funny. People say the justice system has always been corrupt. But at least the DOJ is here trying to represent those people and give them the opportunity.
Oh, the DOJ, you say?
And Mayor Andy, and many others.
I thought this was put together by the civilians.
It's only a shame the Senate doesn't still have their old corrupt police chief to turn a blind eye to certain routine incidents. You guys have a good day.
Guys, Raymond Romanoff and his shit gang had an act created and made with their name due to the fact that they slaughtered dozens of innocent civilians on top of police officers daily. Thank you.
Okay. I just want to say thank you to all the citizens who've come here to just speak as citizens, to just engage with us and enjoy this forum to speak. I want to thank Kitty for helping us to get set up with the stage. I want to thank the people I work with side by side who've come here to speak, for the press for being here, for the mayor's office for showing up, for the business entrepreneurs and CEOs who've shown up to speak to you. I think it's all very important. I think that this kind of forum should be more proactively pushed out there so more people get a chance to express themselves publicly on a more regular basis. Now, Dawn Hart wanted to say something, but I'm all good. So come on, Dawn, come talk.
Okay. Thank you. So I've been hearing a lot of complaining and not a lot of solutions. So I just wanted to say I've been craving a lot of Mexican food and barbecue food, and you know, I think they would be really great in the city. So that's my solution to my problem. Ex-treasonous. Okay, goodbye, guys.
Elizabeth told me to come up here. Does anyone want to sell me a gun?
What?
He said I had to go and ask someone for a gun.
No, I said don't do.
No, you said do what everyone else does and go and ask people for a gun.
I told her she can't have a weapons license, and she thinks that's this with me. Come on.
She literally said do what other people do and go ask for a gun.
Ooh, get her off the stage. Go home.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Oh.
We're here to speak about real problems. Jesus.